Players, gather round, gather round. Degenerate Dragon here, your friendly guide through the neon jungle of high hopes and heartbreak. Now, I know you're all starry-eyed about the sweet siren call of slot machines, those shiny, whirling towers of maybe today's my lucky day. Let's talk about them, but not just talk. Today, we're pulling back the curtain like Oz's worst nightmare. We're cracking open the code that keeps you hooked. Now, let's start with a show of hands. Who here has felt that tingling in your fingertips when you're one symbol away from a jackpot? Right, practically all of you. RNG, RNG, the casinos chant. Random number generator, they shout as though reciting from the book of gambling gospel. But what if I told you that random might not be as random as you think? For those who don't know, an RNG is that magical wizard behind the slot machine's spinning reels. It's supposed to ensure each spin is an independent event, no memory, no rigging, and definitely no sinister illusions. That's the official story. But here's the cosmic joke, folks. The random number generator is more like a constantly running algorithm generating numbers at lightning speed generator. That's not as catchy, I know. But do me a favor. Imagine a high-speed slot car track that never stops, always zipping in circles. The moment you hit the spin button, the game plucks a number from wherever the track happens to be at that split second. That's your result. And yes, it's complicated enough to make your head spin faster than the reels. Now, is that random? Kinda. More like pseudo-random. Because computers are basically control freaks. They can't really do true randomness. They do math. Lots of math. And if you know the formula, if you know the seed, you can technically predict the outcome. Just not with your standard issue human brain. Which means the house can code the machine, so that maybe it cycles through near misses, like a twisted DJ, spinning your heartbreak's greatest hits. And that brings us to the near miss phenomenon, the heartbreak hotel of slot play. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You see two matching symbols on the pay line, and that third one just kisses the edge before dropping out of sight. So close, right? Now your heart's hammering. You're convinced if you just feed the machine one more spin, boom, you're in the winner's circle. But guess what? This near-miss effect is documented in actual patents. Some big-brained folks, gaming mathematicians, psychologists, have sat down with me. They said, "Hey, Dragon, we've seen the data. We know exactly how these machines manipulate the distribution of real symbols to produce near misses at a frequency that keeps you feeding in those credits. Think it's by chance you keep seeing those two cherries line up, and the third just whizzes by. Think again." Now, a quick pivot to the research corner. US patents for gaming machines, for example, detail how reels can be weighted. Some symbols appear more frequently than others, or they're placed in such a way that near misses show up more often than pure probability would dictate. This is not me going tinfoil hat, folks. This is on record. And guess what? The psychologists will confirm near misses activate the same pleasure centers in your brain as actual wins. Let that sink in. Your brain is basically celebrating a victory it didn't achieve. It's like throwing yourself a parade for coming in second place, or in this case, no place. The machine's going, "Close one, buddy, better luck next time." And your dopamine is shouting, "Yes, yes, more!" Meanwhile, the big casinos are smiling. Why? Because you're not walking away. You're riding that wave of adrenaline. And hey, I get it. I'm a degenerate too. I've chased that near-miss feeling so many times, I basically have it on speed dial. I've sat in front of a slot machine longer than I've sat in front of relatives at Thanksgiving. But you see, that's the job of these machines, to keep you glued to that seat until your wallet hits empty. Let me drop another knowledge bomb on you. Interviewing a few gaming mathematicians, these geniuses who do probability calculations in their sleep, I learned that the old school concept of pull the lever, watch the reels tumble, see what lines up, is practically a relic. Modern slots decide your outcome the moment you press the button. Those spinning symbols are for show. All that flashy spin is your personal light show, while the software behind the scenes has already determined your fate. It's like going on a roller coaster you think you can steer. You can turn the little wheel all you want. The track's locked in. You're just here to enjoy or suffer the ride. And let's talk about that crazy sense of hope these games instill. Some of you might say, but Dragon, even if it's pseudo-random, there's still a chance I'll hit a big one, right? Sure, a chance. About as good as me riding a unicycle through a ring of fire while juggling gold bars and not dropping a single one. Possible? Maybe. Likely? Not so much. I want to emphasize, I'm no stranger to risk, folks. I might even be the poster child for risk. Half the time, I'm fairly convinced my bloodstream is 80% adrenaline, 20% regret. I've spun those reels at 3 a.m., convinced the next spin was destiny. It wasn't. But you know what was real? The slow drain of my bankroll, which felt about as random as a rigged carnival game. Here's another behind-the-scenes tidbit. There's an entire field of game design psychology devoted to hooking players. Near misses are just one trick in a bag that includes bonus rounds, big bright screens, theatrical sound effects, and the illusion of skill-based features like press the flashing button now to stop the reel. But come on, pressing that button doesn't outrun the software's math. It's like hitting the elevator button repeatedly to make it arrive faster, so you can pretend you have control in a system specifically engineered to run on a schedule. Let me tell you a story. Once upon a degenerate weekend, I was nestled in this dusty corner of a roadside casino. Picture tacky carpeting that probably hasn't seen a shampoo since the 1980s. An old lady behind me, chain-smoking Virginia Slims like a steam engine. I'd been on this machine for about an hour and a half, down to the last of my rolled-up singles. Then it happened. A near-miss trifecta. One near miss after another, after another. My heart was pounding out of my chest. I was on the edge of my seat. I thought, Dragon, my scaly friend, you are this close to the big payday. So I kept feeding that machine. Didn't matter I was borrowing from tomorrow's lunch money. I was convinced. Spoiler alert. I never saw that jackpot. I ended up trudging out of there like a lizard who'd lost his tail. But that night, I went online, like a man possessed, scouring everything from patents to research studies. I found that yes, near misses can be intentionally increased. And the sense of control you feel from hitting that spin button is a well-documented psychological phenomenon. Human brains crave patterns, especially under stress. And a casino floor is essentially a wonderland of controlled chaos, designed to make your tension levels spike just enough to keep you playing. Now, I'm not here to spoil all the fun. I'm a gambler too, and I won't pretend otherwise. But I've learned that knowledge is power. And if we're all gonna throw dice against the house, we might as well know the odds. There's a reason casinos are some of the richest institutions on the planet. Those nice folks in suits didn't build billion-dollar buildings off your lucky streaks alone. They built them by leveraging math, psychology, and elaborate illusions that keep your hope on life support just long enough to drain every last credit. Let's talk about the concept of loss disguised as wins. You ever win 5 credits on a spin that cost you 10? The machine celebrates, plays a little fanfare, and visually, you feel victorious. But guess what? You're still down 5 credits? Friend, that's right. There's a term for that, and it's an actual design choice spelled out in more than one slot machine patent. The entire point is to make losing feel like winning, or at least not so bad. Because hey, a near win is more exciting than a flat-out bust, right? And guess what? If you look at some of the more insidious designs out there, you'll see the near-miss effect woven into the bonus games too. You pick a treasure chest, you see the other chests open up. One of them has a bigger prize, and you missed it by one chest. That's the oh-so-thrilling near-miss, baby. And your brain is shouting, "Oh man, if I'd just picked that other chest." Meanwhile, the machine is laughing in zeros and ones because the outcome was coded. That chest was never yours to begin with. Now, if you've been a player for a while, you might have heard of something called a return to player percentage, or RTP. Every slot has an RTP, somewhere in the range of 85% to 98% in most regulated jurisdictions. But realize, that's an average over an incredibly long span of spins. And you, dear gambler, aren't going to see that average in your short session. You might get a hot streak, sure, or more likely, you'll get the short end of the stick. The near misses, the big flashy graphics, all of it is set up to obscure that fundamental math. They want you to feel like you can beat the house if you're just persistent or lucky enough. Now, after talking to a couple of mathematicians, brilliant folks who'd rather remain anonymous, because let's face it, the gaming industry has big money on the line. They basically spelled out that these advanced algorithms can predict player behavior. They keep track of how long you've been playing, your typical betting patterns, and they might adapt the game's volatility to keep you around. Now, is that always the case? Depends on the jurisdiction, the specific software, and the machine's licensing. But it's possible, and the technology sure exists. Data analytics is the name of the game these days, players. If you think companies like Google or Facebook track you, you better believe slot makers are doing their own version of user profiling. Then there's the psychological grip that near misses hold over us. Look, the human brain is wired to learn from partial success. It's basically the reason we practice sports. Oh, I almost made that basket. Let me try again. But in a slot machine environment, that logic is a trap. This is a game you cannot master by skill alone. It's not pinball. It's not chess. It's a computerized stage show designed to keep your dopamine dancing. The near miss is the star performer in that twisted little carnival act. But here's the insane part. Even when we know all this, we still get pulled in. And that's why I'm your degenerate dragon. I've done the dance, I've seen behind the curtain, and I still occasionally feed the beast. But knowledge is a shield. At least now, when I'm chasing that 3 a.m. jackpot. I'm aware the machine's design is based on illusions as old as time. Illusions that keep us pumping in tokens, like we're fueling a rocket to nowhere. And you might ask, Dragon, is there any point in playing at all? Are you saying it's hopeless? Look, my motto is, if you're gonna light your money on fire, at least enjoy the flames. Gambling should be entertainment, not a retirement plan. It's like going to a theme park. You pay for the rides. The difference is, theme parks don't usually trick you into thinking you might leave with more money than you came with. Slot machines, on the other hand, wave that jackpot carrot in front of your face. So here's the real talk. If you want to play responsibly. Set a budget and consider it the price of admission. If you hit a jackpot, fantastic. You've won the cosmic lottery. But don't chase near misses. Don't feed the machine like it's an enchanted lamp. I promise, no genie's coming out to hand you $1 million. Now, players, I can see that look in your eyes. Some of you are nodding, some of you are outraged, some are thinking, wow, I've been bamboozled, and that's okay. Welcome to the club. The rest of you might be itching to prove me wrong. By all means, let me know if you crack the code. I'd love a seat at that table. But for now, that's the story. The inside scoop of how pseudo-randomness Near misses, weighted reels, and cunning psychology come together in a perfect storm of enticement. It's like a Vegas heist movie. Except you're not George Clooney pulling off the heist. You're the uncredited extra handing over the money. This is where we wrap things up, but don't go away empty-handed. We got a moral, folks. Next time you hear the jingles and see the flashing lights, remember there's more design than destiny going on. Be aware, keep your cool, and try not to chase those near misses like a dog chasing a car, because the car always wins, my friends. Now, if you liked hanging out with your favorite degenerate spitting tough truths, do me a favor. Tap that like button. Share this with another unsuspecting friend who's sure those reels are about to strike gold. And hey, why not subscribe? Because the casino might be rigged, but knowledge is the cheat code we can all use. Until next time, players, this is Degenerate Dragon, wishing you clear heads, smarter bets, and just enough luck to keep that twinkle in your eye without losing your shirt. Catch you on the next roll. Remember, bet responsibly, stay curious, and never let the house hustle you blind. Over and out.